Hello, my name is Samuel Morris and this is Elementary English. Welcome. Today we're going to go over analyzing specific sections of a text for author's purpose in keywords and phrases. So I know analyzing specific sections of a text for author's purpose in keywords and phrases is a long phrase in and of itself. But basically, what it means is we're going to identify from specific phrases and keywords why the author wrote what the author wrote. So if you think about this as an investigation, we're going to look at a piece of text. It could be a newspaper, it could be a book, it could be an article, it could even be a menu at a restaurant. And we're going to ask ourselves, we're going to put on our investigator hat and think, why did the author write this exactly as they did and for what purpose? So get ready to learn about author's purpose and the three types. The three types of author's purpose are as easy as pie. And yeah, you heard that right, pie, P-I-E. The first type of author's purpose, the first reason that an author would write something is to persuade. So persuasive writing tells the reader what you ought to do or what you should not do. So the first reason an author might write something is to tell you what to do. You'll see a lot of these examples in advertising, especially on social media, and you'll see a lot of these persuasive writings whenever the author wants to have you think a certain way or perform some action or refrain from doing so as well. The second part of that PI acronym after P is the letter I. I stands for inform. When the author writes an informational piece, it's to teach you something. It's to inform you of some information. You can think about this mostly when you're reading something and you think you're learning or you think that you're being taught something new. Oftentimes that's informational. A lot of informational writing is written in a specific formal way. You can think about scholarly articles and anything you've read, even to the informal articles like online Wikipedia, where you're just learning and learning and learning all sorts of information. There it is, inform the author's purpose. The last part of that acronym of PI is the letter E. Now this one is a personal favorite of mine because E stands for entertain. There's a phrase that says art for art's sake, and that's exactly what this is. It's telling you a story. It's fun to read. It exists just so it can exist. So what we'll do together now is identify the author's purpose based on those three options in a few examples together, you'll see. As we look at these examples, remember, it's as easy as pie. P-I-E, persuade, inform, entertain. Let's look at some examples together and try to sort them out. For our first example, we see a recycle poster, probably in the hallway at school or maybe at a place of work. The three words on top say reduce, reuse, recycle, and then we see a few directions of how to do so and why you should do that. Let's think, is this to persuade, to tell us what to do? To inform, give us facts, statistics, and information? Or entertain, to tell us a fun story, to exist merely for the purpose of existing? To me, I see right here three things that I'm being told I should do, namely reduce, reuse, and recycle. So because the author is telling me what I should do by reducing, reusing, and recycling, we can identify this as persuasive writing. We can identify this as the author persuading the reader. Let's look at another example. For our second example, we see a menu at a restaurant. Now let's think again. Are we being told what we should or shouldn't do? Are we being given information about food, descriptions, and prices? Or are we being told a story? Sometimes you'll have more than one. And in this case, we do. We're being told we should order some things. We're also being given a lot of information. And there's a fun little story about the restaurant at the bottom. But for the most part, we can identify this as understanding the facts and the data, the prices, the descriptions, the names of the meals. We're being given a lot of information. So the author's purpose is to inform. Exactly. Let's look at another example here. Now, this is an epic novel that was the bestseller at the library this past year. And we can see it's Captain Underpants and the Big Bad Battle of the Bionic Booger Boy. Wow, what a title. Now this seems to me like the author wrote this, well, let's think, to tell us that we ought to be like that, to give us information, data, or to just tell us a fun story. Exactly, you guessed it, that fun story, even in the title and the artwork and the cover, we can see that this is a story just for the story's sake. It's entertaining. It's the last part of that acronym. We're going to look at 3 more examples a little bit more quickly this time so that you can practice on your own. Here we see a poster that asks us to clean our hands and care for our hands. Caring hands, cleaning hands, washing hands can significantly reduce the spread of infection, so you should wash your hands with soap and water or use antibacterial rinse gel before entering and upon leaving any room. Exactly. Let's think. Are we being told what to do, given information, or told a story? Yep, we're being told that we should wash our hands. So this will be persuasive, where the author is trying to persuade us, tell us what to do. This next one, we see a gentleman reading the newspaper, a story that appears to be about the astronauts returning safely home. Is this a story where we hear a fun tale of adventure, we hear information about the mission, or it's being told to do something? I think it could be both, inform or entertain. We're probably going to hear a fun story about the astronauts and their voyage to the moon, but mainly we're going to hear the details, when they left, what they did, when they're returning home, and who will be there to greet them. So this one would mainly be informing. Lastly, we see the cover here of a book that was then made into a movie and a play that is wildly famous called The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. We can tell just based on the cover that this story is, well, I gave it away, a story. It exists to entertain us, to tell us a story, and the author wrote it for that purpose, to simply share a story with us so that we may be entertained and experience art for the sake of art. So I hope this has been helpful to you to identify author's purpose and find where, with persuasive, informative, and entertaining pieces of writing. Remember, whenever you're set to find out the author's purpose for writing something, it's usually one of those 3. P-I-E, pie, persuading you, telling you what you ought to do, giving you information, informing you of some new development, or simply entertaining you, telling you a story for the sake of hearing a story. So that concludes our lesson for today. Let's think about one more time that acronym. What is it? P-I-E, pie. Exactly. When you think you need to find author's purpose, it's as easy as pie. Persuasive, informative, entertaining. So I hope this has been helpful, and remember, this week you can practice too. Try to find one of each of those types of writing around your house. I bet you'll find all 3 of them in the newspaper, in a magazine, even in a book, or you might have to find 3 different sources to find each of those 3, but it's a lot easier than you think. You can do it. So continue to improve, practice, and identify the author's purpose. It has been my pleasure to have you today in class. My name is Samuel Morris, and we'll see you next week.
Hi Kansas City, let's get started with some math. We are moving on to a new topic. We've been working on fractions and decimals, and we're going to start thinking about analyzing our data and what we see with some of our data sets. So for Just Note today, I'm actually going to introduce some vocabulary that I just want you to know as we move forward. And the first one is line plots. We're going to be using line plots today, and I want you to just know that a line plot is a way to show our data on a number line, which you already know a number line. So here's an example of a line plot where we have under 0, we have a data of 1. Under 1, we have 3. We have a dot that represents 2, and then 3 on the point on the number line that represents 3. So when I talk about line plots today, just know that it's putting our data on a number line. And the second word I want you to know today is outlier. So on our line, our number line, I want you to know when we look at that line plot, that any numbers that are very different, so very much larger or smaller or away from the data set, those are called outliers, and we're going to look at those today. All right, so let's move on to figure it out. All right, for figure it out, I have this big dice here, and I'm going to throw it up in the air, and whatever lands on the side that you can see, we're going to plot on our chart. So we're going to keep track with tally marks, and we're also going to plot on our number line. So the first thing we need to do is make our number line. I already have here a number line ready for me, but you can just draw it at home if you have a piece of paper. I'm going to start with 1, because we know that on the dice is 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we can just put 7 on there, although we know our dice doesn't have a number 7. So what we're going to do is I'm going to throw it up in the air. Whatever lands is going to be what we plot and keep track of. So here we go. 4. So we're going to put a tally for 4 and plot it there. 6. Tally. Okay, ready? 6 again. 1. Oh, 4. 6. Wow, another 6. 6 again. How is that possible? So many 6s. 3. 1. 4. 4. Let's do a spin throw. 5. And 3. Let's make that our last one. So take a look at what we made here. So you can see we kind of kept track up here with tallies, and if we needed to double check, we could go back and make sure our line plot was accurate. So we see we have 2, none for the number 2 on our dice, 2 for the number 3 on our dice, 4 in the number 4 spot, 5, and then 4 again. And we can see that the most common number here that we rolled was both 4 and 6. And then 5, we rolled 1, but we didn't roll any for 2 today. So that was just a little practice plotting numbers on our line plot as we used our dice. Let's move on to a different figure it out. For this figure it out, we're going to be looking at this data that we have here. So let's read what it says. Garden Club is growing daisies. They want to see what daisies' heights are the outliers. Make a line plot. What are the outliers? This is kind of tricky because we don't have a number line yet. So let's get ready by doing our number line. So we read RTDW. So we read it. Let's think about it. We're going to do that number line. Okay, and let's look at our scale. What numbers we think we should put on our scale. So we have 5.5, 6, 6.5, 6 3/4, 6 1/4, 6.5, 6, 6.5. It looks like our largest number is 6 3/4. So maybe we can make our whole number at the very end 7, because we know that will include that 6 3/4. And I'm thinking, what is the smallest number we have? Well, it looks like 5.5. So maybe we can make our smallest number on our scale 5. So now we have 5. Let's make that middle number 6, and let's fill in. So we know between 5 and 6 from our fraction work would be 5 1/2, and we know between 6 and 7 would be 6 1/2. And now if we want to get those quarters, we'll just add those. Okay, so we drew something to help us. So now we need to go through and think about plotting these numbers. So let's plot. And one thing to think about is as we plot, we want to cross off the ones that we've done so that we don't get confused and accidentally plot them multiple times, because then we'd be left with data that is not correct. So let's start here. 5.5, 6, 6.5, 6 3/4, 6 1/4, 6.5. Oh, I messed up. This doesn't go here. Whoopsie daisy. Let's cross that one out. That would be 5 3/4, 6 1/4. That's all part of figure it out. Sometimes you make mistakes. Okay, so we got 6 1/4, 6.5 again, 6 again, and 6 1/2 again. So what are the outliers here? What are the ones that are the furthest from the data set? It looks like this 5.5 is kind of far from the data set, although not like so wildly different, but it is different. Most of them are 6 or higher. And I don't think this one is pretty close. This is 6 3/4. That's not that different than 6.5. So I would say that 5.5 is probably our outlier in this data set. All right, let's move this on down to what's new. Well, I already sort of introduced what's new, but let's look at that learning target. I can represent and interpret data on line plots. Okay, so we already learned that line plots is using a number line, okay, to show our data set. And represent, so we're going to show it. We're going to show what it looks like. I'm going to draw an eye there because that helps me remember to show it. And interpret. So that means we're going to be figuring it out. We're going to be looking at it and analyzing it. So I'm going to draw a think bubble here. So we're going to be thinking, what do we know from that data? And the data is going to be a collection of information about some topic, like the heights of the daisies in the garden. So I can represent or show and analyze a collection of information on a line plot, which is like a number line with information on it. Well, let's see what that looks like for today. Okay, for what's new today, grab your writing tool and paper or marker board to get started. And here is our first problem. Below is a line plot of the lengths of friendship bracelets Jessica made. 4 people want 6-inch bracelets. Does she have enough? So we're going to interpret this data that we have here. We read this. We're thinking. We're going to interpret. We're going to look at what we have. We don't really need to draw anything because it's already drawn for us, but we should write a sentence. So let's take a look. So we need 4 friendship bracelets at 6 inches each. Well, we have 1, 2, 3. So there's only 3 here. And so that tells us we don't have enough. She would need to make 4, or at least 1 more to make 4 6-inch bracelets. So no, she does not have enough 6-inch bracelets. She does have 6 1/4, so maybe she could convince somebody to use one of those, but she does not have enough 6-inch. And it looks like 5 over here is an outlier. It's kind of on its own way on this end of our line plot. Mrs. Latiman has been riding her bike to work. Below are the number of minutes it has taken her over the last 2 weeks. What scale could be used to make a line plot? Okay, let's do our RTDW. Read it. We're thinking about the scale. So from the smallest to the largest. Let's look at our numbers. So these are minutes. 20, 20 and a half, 20 and 21 and 3/4, 22, 20 and 3/4, 20 and a fourth, 20, 22, 21 and a fourth, and 20 and a half. So it looks like our smallest number might be 20. And it looks like our largest number, we got 21 and 3/4. It might be 21 and 3/4 looks like. Okay, so maybe we should make it 22. So let's do our scale. Scale equals 20 to 22. And let's read this one. Make a line plot and determine if there are any outliers. Okay, so we know our scale. So we got 20 and 22. So we got 21 in the middle, just like we saw today on our figure it out. So we had 20 and a half and 21 and a half. And so then we have our, so this would be 20 and 1/4, 20 and 3/4, 21 and a fourth, 21 and 3/4. Okay, so we got 20, 20 and a half, 21 and 3/4, 22. Oh, I don't even think I mentioned 22 up here. There's 2 22s. Okay, wow, see? Sometimes you're making your scale and you might even miss it the way it's organized. So good to make sure we have included that one. 20 and 3/4, 20 and a fourth, 20 again, 22, 21 and a fourth, 20 and 1/2. I think we got it all. Okay. It doesn't really seem like there are any numbers that are wildly different. It seems like she's reading at a, or not reading, biking at a pretty good pace. So let's say, no, there are no outliers. Everything is generally about the same amount of time. Nice work. Thanks for working to figure out those what's new problems with me. And I just thought it'd be fun for you to do a let's roll and plot on your own at home. So if you have dice, or you can go online and you can use the online web dice to roll it and kind of plot what numbers you get. And you can see I made a line plot here, a number line from 0 to 6, although you could do yours from 1 to 6 or whatever dice you are using. And then I thought it might be fun for you to ask your friends how many pets they have and make a line plot and analyze the data, interpret the data. Do you have any outliers? So you could see if there's any of your friends who have like 6 or 8 pets. Maybe they have a lot of fish or other animals at home that they take care of. Maybe they take care of all the stray cats on the street and they consider them their pets. Or maybe you have friends who don't have any pets at home, and so they might be an outlier if you have lots of friends who have some pets. So have fun with that and come up with your own questions to make your own line plots and analyze the data. It is time to say goodbye, and let's end with 2 firework high fives and a roller coaster and cool at the end. 2 fireworks, roller coaster, and cool, way cool at the end. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Clap. Shh. Ah. Clap. Shh. Ah. Clickety, clackety, clickety, clackety, clickety, clackety, wee, wee, wee. Cool. Way cool. Thanks for watching.
Hello, I'm Mr. Steinauer, and this is 3rd and 4th grade science. Today we're talking about energy and the different kinds of energy. All you'll need for today's lesson is a notebook or something to write on and something to write with. That's going to help you make your own chart, which I will be doing, to show different kinds of energy and to categorize them by the kinds of energy that they are. Now, what is energy? It's simple. Energy is the ability to do work. Now, what is work? Is work something you get paid for? Is work something your parents or your loved ones ask you to do? No. Work is anything. It can be drinking water. It can be putting on your clothes. It can be getting up out of bed. It can be writing something down on paper. It can be eating. It can be stretching. It can be driving a car. It can be walking up a hill. Work is anything that takes energy, because energy is the ability to do work. And in science, work just means doing something involving movement. So today we're going to learn about the variety of kinds of energy, and we'll also be listing some examples of that. So let's get started. All right, so to begin, we're going to make a diagram together. Now, remember, a diagram is something that is a way of sharing information, and it's got labels and a simply made image or chart that expresses the information that you're trying to share. So our diagram of energy is going to start out with one word, and then around that we're going to have petals like a flower. That's going to be our types of energy diagram. About midway through the page, about the middle of your page, write the word energy. Then you're going to draw a circle around energy. There are 8 types of energy that we're going to be introduced to today. You're going to pick a spot to start, and then as you make your flower, your energy flower diagram, you're going to eventually have 8 petals. So let's go ahead and kind of draw those out. Draw 8 petals, so I'm going to draw about 4 of them down here on the bottom. And then I'm going to draw 4 on top. Make sure to make your petals nice and big. And see, I've got plenty of room to write here. If you've got more than one color that you can choose, this would be a great time to get creative. One kind of energy that we interact with all the time is gravitational. Gravitational. The root word of gravitational is gravity. So any of the forces involving gravity, whether we're trying to get away from gravity or being pulled down by gravity, that's gravitational energy. A second kind of energy we're going to talk about is chemical energy. Now, you may not know exactly how to spell a lot of these words, so I'm going to underline the root part of these words. Chem is a shortened version of chemical. Grav is a shortened version of gravitational. Chemical energy comes from, surprise, chemicals. But we often think of chemicals as things that are only in labs, in science labs, but that's not true. There are chemicals in your food. There are chemicals in the drinks that we drink. There are chemicals in medicine that we take. And there are chemicals in the air, right? We just think of them as air, as, well, oxygen's oxygen. It's not a chemical. It is a chemical. So when we say chemical energy, that can include a lot of things. One way to think of chemical energy is to think of the energy we get from eating. Our body breaks down the chemicals inside of food, and we use those for our own energy. So an example of chemical energy is us getting our own energy from eating food. Another kind of energy is mechanical energy. What's the root of mechanical? If I'm going to underline in green a shortened version of mechanical for you to write if you'd like, which part am I going to underline? Mech, M-E-C-H is what I'm going to underline. So again, if you are feeling stressed on time because of our pace, you can just write this shortened version of the word in your energy flower diagram. These are all different kinds of energy. Another kind of energy that powers this screen, powers the tablet that I'm using, powers the screen that you're watching this on. What's that called? You might have said electrical. Electricity and magnetism are actually one force, one kind of energy. So we call that electromagnetism. Electromagnetism is all one word, but I'm already seeing I'm not going to have a lot of space. So I'm going to put a hyphen there. Electromagnetism. There are two components, two parts to electromagnetism. So the ones I'm going to underline, I'm actually going to underline two different parts of this. I'm going to underline elec and mag. So if you are feeling short on time for writing, you can write elec mag. One example of electromagnetic energy, electromagnetism, is lightning storms. Another example is a refrigerator magnet sticking to the refrigerator. And a third example is the lights all around you, the lights all around me. We get these from electromagnetic energy. Electromagnetic energy also is the category that visible light itself falls into. We use electrical power to provide all these lights that we have around us, and all these lights around us are also an example of electromagnetic energy. Anything that's within the spectrum of light, what we call sometimes the UV spectrum, ultraviolet spectrum, all of that is included in electromagnetic energy. I'm now going to list two more kinds of energy. They're energy that you learn quite a bit about in first grade and second grade. You learn a lot about lights and sounds in first grade, and in second grade you learn a lot about the states of matter. States of matter change because of heat energy, also called thermal energy. Thermal. We're not going to shorten that one. We're just going to include it because it's a pretty short word on its own. Thermal, think thermometer. This thermal is heat energy. Thermal is heat. Now the word for sound energy is also the word for everybody's favorite hedgehog, sonic. An example of sonic energy is energy coming from my vocal cords into your ear. All right, moving along. The next energy here is something that in fourth grade you learn quite a bit about. That's potential and kinetic energy. This is the category of the energy based on something's location. So if something's very high up, it has high potential energy. While something is on the move, it has high kinetic energy. So potential and kinetic. We're going to shorten potential and kinetic to POT and KIN if you're shortening. POT for potential, the energy something has based on its location, and kinetic, KIN, for the energy of motion. The final kind of energy is an energy that we don't actually interact with often in our normal day-to-day lives. This is nuclear energy. While we don't think that we interact with nuclear energy on a regular basis, nuclear energy is inside of us. It's inside of our atoms. It's inside of the things that make us up. And by understanding how we can actually split atoms and we can break apart molecules and unlock the energy trapped within their nuclei or their nucleuses, we can have nuclear power. Now, when we think of nuclear energy, we often think of nuclear power plants, nuclear reactors, even nuclear bombs. But when we talk about nuclear energy, it can be related to nuclear power, but it's also talking about the energy inside of atoms and inside of molecules that can be accessed by breaking those open or by combining them with another atom or molecule. So there are 8 kinds of energy that we're going to focus on in the coming weeks and days. So keep your energy flower diagram so that you can continue to reference this as you build on your understanding of energy and as we work together to do so. Now, something you might do after you finish this, something I would push you to do after you've finished your energy flower. Go around to as many as you can. Draw a petal that goes out beyond them and name an example of a form of this energy. So electromagnetic, I might write magnet. I could also write when I turn my lights on. That's an example of electromagnetism. Or the colors that I'm able to see. That's also an example of electromagnet. I'm not going to go around and do that with each one, and neither are you. Find 1, 2, or 3 of these kinds of energy, make an extended flower petal, and inside of that new flower petal, list some examples of this kind of energy. As always, it's been my pleasure having you in class today. My name is Mr. Steinauer, and I'll see you next week.
Welcome to PE with Coach K, also known as Karina. This PE segment will aim towards 3rd through 5th grade students for today and the entire semester. So for this segment today, we're going to focus on one of the health-related fitness components, and that is cardiovascular endurance. What is cardiovascular endurance? Well, cardiovascular endurance is where your heart, your lungs, and your muscles all work together while you're exercising for a long period or an extended period of time. How does that benefit us and our body? How does that benefit you and your mom, your dad? Well, cardiovascular endurance will help anybody sustain physical activity for a long period of time. And normally, you'll need this when you participate in a lot of different sports. For example, basketball. You have players that run up and down the court. They have to sustain, and they have to be able to have heart, lungs, and muscles all working together to be able to maintain their breath when they are performing in a basketball game. Another example, soccer. A soccer field is even bigger than a basketball court, and they have to run up and down the field to be able to maintain that breath and that energy while they're playing soccer. So what you need for today is your heart, your muscles, and your lungs. That's it. Because for this first segment, I am going to teach you 10 different exercises that you can do at home, in your living room, in your bedroom, in the kitchen, wherever you are, where you have space and opportunity to improve your cardiovascular endurance. So I'll demonstrate each one. We'll do 10 of those for 30 seconds. It will be different each time. I'll demonstrate it. We'll do it for 30 seconds together, and then I'll demonstrate the next while you rest. So while I demonstrate is your opportunity to take a break, breathe, grab a drink of water, and then get ready for the next. So, cardiovascular endurance exercise number 1. Remember, all you need is your heart, your lungs, and your muscles, and maybe a bottle of water off to the side. So the first one we're going to do is just a jog in place. We're going to do it for 30 seconds, so it's just a light jog. It's not a sprint where you're running really fast, but you just want to be light on your feet. And we're going to do it for 30 seconds. And you can turn to the side with me. I'll turn to the side. I'll turn to the front. And then I'll turn to the other side. But it's up to you. You can stay forward or you can turn to the side as well. So we're going to do a jog in place for 30 seconds together. And then I'll demonstrate the next. Get ready to start in 4, 3, 2, 1, and let's jog. We're jogging very light. And when you jog, you want to make sure you're breathing in through your nose and just out through your mouth. Light little jog. I'm going to turn to the side so you can get a different view. Make sure you pick your feet up just a little bit. The knees don't have to go too high. 3, 2, 1, and rest. So now you can rest, and I'll demonstrate cardiovascular endurance exercise number 2. So the second one we're going to do is high knees. So this is when our knees come up right in front of us while we're jumping. And you'll bring your knees up as high as you can while jumping. Lean back just a little bit to get your knees up. And we'll do those for 30 seconds. So get ready, take a deep breath. Let it out. We'll start in 4, 3, 2, 1. High knees up. Make sure you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Keep going. Try to get them up as high as you can. You can turn sideways. Can you turn to the other side? You have 5, 4, 3, 2, and rest. Okay. Cardiovascular endurance exercise number 3. These are called heel kicks, where your heel is kicking your bottom, just like this. So you should feel your heel touch your bottom when you do your heel kicks. And we'll do that for 30 seconds. Take a deep breath. We'll start in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Heel kicks. Remember to breathe because we're exercising our heart, muscles, and lungs to strengthen our cardiovascular endurance. You have 10 more seconds. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and rest. Take a deep breath in and let it out. Cardiovascular endurance exercise number 4. We are going to do jumping jacks, or sometimes I call them JJs for short. So we'll go ahead and do some jumping jacks for 30 seconds. Remember, your legs open. And when your legs open, your arms come above your head and then they close together. And then you keep going. Open, close, open, close. So if you get a little out of breath in between, then you can slow it down. Or if you feel like you got enough energy to go faster, then you can. It's up to you. But we'll get started. Take a deep breath. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. Open, close, open, close. 30 seconds. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. If you need to slow down, it's okay. Or you can speed it up. 10 more seconds. Come on. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and rest. So, cardiovascular endurance exercise number 5. And I'm just going to do 5 for this segment. You can have enough energy to do 5 more for the next. So the 5th one is just a jump rope motion. So you just roll your arms on the side of you, and you just slightly come off your toes, very slightly. Nice little jump with your arms going in a circular motion as if you were jumping rope. We'll do that for 30 seconds. Take this time to rest, While I'm demonstrating and talking, use all of this time you can, because we're starting in 4, 3, 2, 1, and jump rope. Breathe and out through your mouth. Come on, this is the last one. Remember, we're here to improve our cardiovascular endurance. It's okay if you're running out of energy. That's normal, because that means you are working your heart, lungs, and muscles all at the same time. We have 10 more seconds. Can you make it? Speed it up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. All right, so we just went over 5 exercises that you can do at home to improve your cardiovascular endurance wherever you are when you have the space and opportunity. Remember, what is cardiovascular endurance? Cardiovascular endurance is when your heart, your lungs, and your muscles all work together while you're exercising for a long period of time. And this helps you because it helps you sustain physical activity for a long time. So I'm so happy that you joined in today when we were working on our cardiovascular endurance. I want you to practice at home, gather members, sisters, brothers, whoever around you that you can grab to come and join you, and work on your cardiovascular endurance together. First one we did, jog in place. And you can do it for a longer period of time than 30 seconds. You can take it to 1 minute. So the more you do it, the better you get, the more you can increase your time. First one was jogging in place. Second one, high knees. The third one, heel kick, where you kick your bottom. The fourth one, what was the fourth one? I think the fourth one was jumping jacks. Yep, there we go. There goes my memory. And then the last one was the jump rope, where your arms go in a circular motion as if you were jumping rope. Well, thank you, and I hope to see you next week for a fun cardio challenge. Adios.
Welcome back to Homeroom. I'm John Gardner. I'm going to teach you guys some rudiments today. So we're going to learn the long row, and we're going to learn the 5-stroke row, and possibly the 7-stroke row. Okay, so let's review some stick positions, because we're going to use both stick positions to play these rudiments. So remember, we got match grip, where the hands are pretty much similar. Then we got traditional grip. Okay, so we're going to learn these rudiments both ways, match and traditional. Okay, and we're going to even throw a metronome on it so we can stay in time. Okay, so let's start off with our first rudiment. The first rudiment is the long row, and the long row simply consists of the right and the left hand. You're alternating right and left. Okay, when playing the drums or playing rudiments, the right hand leads. Okay, you want to always start with the right hand. All right, so we're going to start off with the long row. Now, we play rudiments open and close. Open means slow. Close means fast, and then you open it back up, with just slowing it down, and you stop. Okay, so every rudiment you play is going to be played open and close. So I call it open, close, open. Okay, because you're starting off slow, speeding up, slowing down, and stopping. Okay, right hand leads. All right, so we're going to do these really slow so that you can actually get the sticking right. It takes years of practice to actually get them super fast. Okay, but we're going to first learn out how to play them with the sticking, with single stroke, right, left, right, left, right, left. Okay, so we're going to start off with our right hand. I'm playing traditional grip. Okay, so we're going to go right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. You just keep doing it till you get the sticking down. Then you gradually speed it up. Okay, so that wasn't as fast as I can play it, but that's as fast as you want to try to get it within a few months. You just got to keep playing it over and over and over and over and over again. Okay, you want to make sure that your sticks are bouncing because the bounce back is important. Okay, so playing a rudiment is almost like when a train take off. Trains take off real slow, then they gradually speed up down the track. Okay, so that's what you do with the rudiment. All right, so now let's add a metronome to that, and let's see if we can stay in time and still play that sticking. Okay, so we're going to start our metronome off at 80 BPM. And remember, BPM is beats per minute. Okay, so we're going to see how fast we can go without speeding up or slowing down. Okay, so we want to stay right in time with the click. All right, so here we go. Remember, we're playing the single stroke, okay? Here we go. Right, left, right, left. You just want to stay with the click. Okay, good, great, good job. All right, so let's leave this metronome at that same BPM. And let's learn another rudiment, okay? So let's learn the double stroke roll, okay? The double stroke roll is 2 on each hand. So you got right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, okay? Okay, so that's the double stroke roll, okay? And we're still playing with traditional grip, all right? So let's add the metronome with that, and let's try playing the double stroke roll. All right, here we go. Right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left. Good. Okay, so let's keep the metronome going, and let's go back to the single stroke roll, and let's play match grip. Okay, remember, right hand leads. Here we go. Right, left, 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 right, left. Okay, good. Now let's switch to the double stroke. Okay, match grip. Here we go. Right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left. Okay, great. So, a couple things I want to go over to make sure that we really pay attention when we actually work on our rudiments, okay? One is to make sure that the most important thing is that the stick is bouncing, okay? Because if you don't let the stick bounce, it's not going. You can't play fast. So that stick has to bounce, okay? Especially when you're playing rudiments. Now, rudiments consist of how fast you can play the rudiment, not how fast I can play the rudiment, okay? So when you play on a rudiment, you go at your own pace, at your own speed. The more you practice it, the faster you become. And every time you play the rudiment, you want to try to get faster and faster every time you play it, even if it's about just one beat faster, okay? That's what you want to do. The rudiment should speed up. Every time you play, you want to get faster and faster, okay? So let's speed the metronome up some, and let's see if we can't play things a little bit faster. So let's go up to 100 BPMs. Okay, that's pretty fast, but I think you can do it. All right, so let's go back to traditional grip, and let's play the long roll. Remember, it's 1 on each hand, or the single stroke, 1 on each hand. Here we go. Right, left, 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 right, left. Good. Now I'm going to switch to the double stroke. Back to the single. Back to the double. single. Now I'm going to switch to match grip. Let's go double. Back to single. Okay, good. You did great. That's a good exercise to do, okay? Switch back and forth between the double stroke and the single stroke, or the long roll and the single stroke, okay? Just to get those two working with each other, okay? That's a good exercise that you can do. When you're playing rudiments, you have to make them fun for yourself, okay? Because it'll get boring if you just sit there and you just keep playing the same thing and you don't switch it up or make it more interesting for yourself. So mix things up and make your rudiments fun, okay? Make it fun to play, because it's something that you should do daily, especially if you want to be a good musician and have a good time, especially if you're a percussionist, okay? You want to work those rudiments, because rudiments are played in everything you pretty much play dealing with music, okay? I'm Mr. Gardner with Homeroom, and I will see you next week.